Hello, fellow Mythrunians. Welcome to another weekly live stream. Tonight we'll be messing around with experimenting with some shaders. I've been thinking a lot about the ice blocks from like last time, and I really would like to make those work better. So that's what we'll be playing with it first. If that goes quickly, then I have something else I want to work on also. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. To the lower left, you'll see my awesome patrons that help me keep the lights on. In the upper left, you'll notice that there is no longer a link because I've included it in the description and there's no longer a password protection. I'm actually redoing the whole website. I'm trying different generation software. Currently, I'm using this website generator called Hugo, and I'm trying to rebuild the site with that so that I can get off Discord. Not off Discord, off of, what's it, I always forget the name of it. That's the standard blog stuff that's built on PHP. Why can I never think of this? WordPress. Yeah. I would like to get off of WordPress because it's a constant pain in my butt to have to keep PHP updated, keep this updated, and then constantly be deleting spam, even though I've turned off all forms of commenting. I'm constantly having to delete spam. So I'd like to get to stop doing that. So I'll just generate it. Also, every time I upload a new release, it takes me like 30 minutes to build the pages and add the things, and I could do that automatically if I had that with Hugo or some other site generator that's generating a static site. Yes, I know the forum software is Simple Machine, so it's gonna have to be on PHP anyway. It's a Simple Machines forum. It's also on PHP, and it's also complaining about older versions. I can't install the newer one until I upgrade PHP. I can't upgrade PHP until I upgrade WordPress, and there's a whole big mess. So I'm gonna trash it all and start over in a sense, but I'd like to somehow keep the old forum running, and I may actually have to do something clever there. Maybe move the old forum over to one of my old sites, or put the new forum on simsilica.com or something so that I can have the newer PHP and make the old forum read only, because I'd like to avoid confusion. Now that we're pressing on with real releases of Mythruna 2, Mythruna 2, with just Mythruna, the newer version of Mythruna. We're just going to call it Mythruna from now on. And then, so I want to have like a new website, and I've been looking at I have a site design in mind, and I've captured, sort of some initial screens. I'll probably on one of these live streams, we might build the scene to put in the background of the main page. So that'll be fun. Anyway, hi Oak, hi Woozy. Glad you could make it. Both of you have #1 status as far as participants, so that's good. So tonight we're going to be messing with the shaders, and I've been trying to set up like a simple test here. I had it loading the test scene, a test scene made with the ice blocks, where I put back the transparency, and we can see how ugly it is because of the transparency issues. And here we actually have a light facing the wrong direction issue with the anyway, but I couldn't get it to automatically pick up my custom shader, and so I've temporarily I'll just create, I punted. I'm going to create some test blocks and just place them around in places. Actually, I want that to be a 2 and that one to be a 1, I think. Yeah, so we'll get rid of the old, and we'll make some test blocks. And I still have to set up the textures and stuff on their materials, but we can do that live. Actually, I want this probably -1, and this one -2, I think is what I want. Yeah. And then I'll put another one at here. I just want some transparency Yes, eventually, yes. Physics doesn't pay any attention to the contacts, but the contacts know what the block types are. And so eventually your ability to stand in one place or to stop yourself is, to kill your momentum is going to be, whether you can stand on a hill or whether you're already moving and stop, will be based on what you're wearing on your feet versus what's on the ground, so. Yes, sounds like I'm finishing a Pepsi, but I'm actually finishing the last one and starting the new one. So yes, the contacts know, which means I can set the friction of the contact based on the material types. So that'll come. Initially, it'll be like your feet will always have a standard friction value that I multiply against whatever the substance value is, whether it's marble or grass or dirt, sand, whatever. And that'll set up different friction values. But eventually, I also want it to be, sort of what's on the bottom of your feet. In case you have like a spiky material on the bottom of your feet, maybe you have better traction than somebody else, or you are a character that has claws or something. Anyway, I don't need to do this, but I'm going to do this. So anyway, let's put... I know it's running my thing, so I should be able to go like this and do this. And yeah, so put it back to white. And let us set up the test mat set. I'm going to actually have to load the texture. Texture equals... Do I have something already doing that I can cut and paste? I do. So take this, change this to ice. Oops. Ice.png, set texture, diffuse, texture. Should that do it? Oop, oh no. I'm gonna need to pull up the, okay, bad things happened. At least it didn't kill the application. Class cast exception. Material barrier cannot be cast to texture. Is it diffuse map? I bet it's diffuse map. Yeah. There we go. And they're not transparent yet, but I kind of we're going to be playing with what's called screen door texturing. I want to see how well it's going to work. It's got its own set of problems when you start layering things, but I kind of want to see how it works. Yeah, because when you start layering things, you tend to have the same problem that unless you... So screen door is a... yeah, I don't know that screen door is going to really work for us, but where's my stupid... this thing? Gotta wait for it to load. But with a with transparency, the order matters because you know, they have to draw back to front, or these front ones will occlude the back ones and they'll never draw. But sometimes sorting them back to front is non-straightforward, which we talked about sort of last time. So there's this idea of screen door transparency, which is if you pretend like each of these little things is a pixel, you know, normally we render each one of them, right? And then we have to mix it with whatever's there. And screen door basically says, no, we're just gonna render every other one of them, and whatever's in those other pixels will leak through. And so you pick some pattern and you render just those pixels, and so whatever's in that other slot will leak through. Now that works for just one material, but it falls down again when you have like the same material rendered over it. For example, this block would be rendering on those every other pixels, and so would this one, but they'd be rendering on the same every other pixels. So you wouldn't see the back block in front of this block. And that's part of the problem we were trying to fix. So yeah, so I gotta see. We're just gonna play with it a little bit. I wasn't willing to give up on. So the other way to solve it is way more complicated, which is like if you imagine the top view of the scene, you know, so your player's standing here, looking in this direction or whatever, and then you know you've got a block here and a block here, and you know so a block here, and in Mythruna, depending on you know, basically for a 32 by 32 section, all of these blocks are really one geometry. They've been all merged together as a bunch of surfaces. And so that's why when we're looking at it from one way, they might be sorted correctly back to front, and when we're looking at it from the other way, they might not be sorted correctly back to front. But you can actually sort them. But to do it efficiently, you've got to be clever. You know, if you think of, you know, if these are all 32 by 32 zones and I'm standing in this one, within this 32 by 32 zone, every time I move sort of from one block, from one little meter block to another, I have to resort everything in this zone. Whereas these I can pre-sort based on being in this zone, right? I can sort back to front this way and they'll all be right, and for this one I can sort, you know, back to front this way. So every time you cross the 32 by 32 boundary, I've got to, you know, and we shift, I'd have to resort all of the ones around it, and then I'm constantly resorting. And sorting's not free, right? You've got to take all those triangles, and you've got to decide they get sorted a certain way. And in Mythruna, it should always work. But in the general case, actually triangles can interpenetrate, and then there's no way to actually sort them correctly. But I would prefer not to do this, so if I can come up with a shader trick, I'd much rather do that. And so I wanted to play with sort of how like if we use the screen door technique, how much can I get away with? How, you know, do I have to do every other pixel, or can I do every fourth pixel? You know, or if in one, can I just do one pixel in a 2 by 2 block? What can I get away with before it looks visually awful? Because the more sparse I can make it, the more tricks there are for layering these things. Anyway, I don't think this is going to end up working for me, and I'm probably going to have to do the hard way to get ice correctly. But I thought we'd experiment with it tonight because that could be fun. And maybe educational for somebody who's never messed with shaders before. So these don't have normal maps and gloss maps and things, but I'm going to leave it, or specular maps. I'm going to leave it for the moment because I just want to play with I just want to play with screen door. And so what I'm going to do is up here, I just was reading about this. So we've got this GL frag chord that we can use. And so at first what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do something on X. And so I think I'm going to take, I think I can take the int of X, and if that %2, I think I have to put this in parentheses. I don't know if it's going to let me do this. Wait, GSL, I think I have to actually use a modulo function. Yeah, mod. Okay, so mod can take any type. Okay. And then I think glsl int. I think it's an int function. Actually, I'll just excuse me. I'll just leave it in float for now, and we'll just say mod, and we'll say floor, comma 2.0 equals 0, discard. Yeah, okay, so we've got it. Yeah, so yeah, already just every other pixel is kind of noticeable. I don't know if you can see that on YouTube, but I can see that it's like it looks like a screen. I can see the little scan lines. So already it's kind of obnoxious. And then again, we're blocking the stuff behind us. But we can actually, so this is just if you have pixels like this in a 4x4 area, this is just setting all of the odd ones. And so one other trick would be to set the odd and the odd ones on one row and the even ones on the other. And so you could say odd. Let me think. This should have been a 0.0 anyway, I think. Modulo returns gen type, so it returns whatever type we passed in. So this actually would have blown up on some platforms. Anyway, so instead of that, let's say scrim equals 0.0. That's fine. Let's change this as a scrim. Okay, should be the same, but now we can set descrim to the same thing, but the y. So basically when y is odd, we will discard the odd ones, and when y is even, we will discard the even ones. I think. Make sure. Oh, I'm getting errors. Oh no, there's the old errors. Right, so I can just see we're reloading material. Okay. Yeah, so now I can see it. You guys probably can't on YouTube. And of course, zooming in won't matter because that's the beauty of the screen door effect. Is that it's so this looks much better as far as transparency goes. And it's easy to calculate that it's a 50% transparency, but it's yeah, I mean, like, it completely occludes what's back there, and there's not a trivial way to fix that. It would work fine with other transparency that's not doing that. But it's, and I can't, so, let us, so that's what this pattern is. Let's try doing just this pattern where we're only set one pixel every other row. So then if, and actually we'll do it like this, because that'll be easier. So if descrim, descrim equals 0 and equals 0. So the odd. So we will discard. This is actually the opposite of what I want. This will discard. Should have been an or anyway. Actually, no, this is okay. No, I want to discard everything. I want to discard everything when y is even. And, or discard everything when x is even. So it shouldn't render this row at all, because that would be 0. And it should only render the even ones here. So let's see. Yeah, so this is 25% transparency, and it's not bad. As far as I can see the pixels, you guys probably can't, but it's too dark. And like too transparent. Ice is too transparent. It would honestly, for ice, I would almost rather it be like this, where it's mostly solid. This would be 75%. So this, in fact, let me keep track of what I'm doing here so you guys can see. So when I inverted those, essentially I made it so that it was like this, right? Wait, it discards. Yeah. Oh no. It's only discarding when the row is even and the column is even. So basically, this is this one, and this is even worse because we're like letting fewer pixels through. So we have an even less opportunity. And I could so let me show you what happens if I add a bias, right? So let us over here. Did you learn OpenGL on your own time or from a job? On my own time. Actually, when I was, did I learn OpenGL? No, OpenGL I learned on the job. I had written my own 3D engines back in the day, fully software engines, because hardware wasn't around yet. And then for a while I did visualization simulation work, and we did a lot of OpenGL stuff. Primarily at that time using something called OpenSceneGraph in C++. And we had written a Java layer around that so that we could do our rapid prototyping and stuff in Java and still have like the scene graph underneath. But then when I started doing when I wanted to do game stuff again, I came back to JMonkey Engine, but I already knew OpenGL well by then. I had not done GL/SL much until, and that I learned on my own. Shaders and stuff I learned on my own. Back when I learned OpenGL, it was the fixed function pipeline. There were no shaders. So that's new. Test mat. Oh, yeah. We actually want to. Also, I just noticed MedCX has like 2 little bars, sort of like the close maximize buttons. Yeah, one is for the application and one is for like the window jail is what I used to call it. There's an old UI approach which puts all of the child windows inside the main application. I called it window jail because you actually can't take them out. Like you can't, it's stuck in there. It's window jail. I hated this style user interface. So I leave them maximized and then it's just tabs, like a regular editor. But that's what that's about. And so you can actually come over here and you can close this file if you want and stuff like that. But this, it used to be called Mr. Ed, and it was, I used to do software development on an operating system called OS2. And having come from doing, Unix work on SunOS and having Emacs with with all the configurable bindings and syntax highlighting and scripting and things. I wanted a lightweight editor that was like really fast. Like if I hit a key, it goes right in. I don't have to wait for a delay. And that was really configurable. And on OS 2, there was this application called Mr. Ed, and that's what this was. And I, bought my license and used that for many years. And then he also ported it to Windows NT back when I moved to NT. So I've just basically kept it. And I don't think he's making improvements on it anymore. Some German guy. But the site's still there, and you can still register copies, and so I do. And it's cheaper than Sublime. So. And I like it. One of the things that really turned me on at first was any of these things like here, if you decide you want to map any of the menus to a key, like say you wanted to like have your whatever Java compiler map to a key, you can come in here and control and click on it, and you can set up a key binding, which is really cool. And the syntax highlighting is really easy to configure also. So that's what I liked. What I want to do here is go ahead and save this. So I have a bias now, which means I can say for the one in the front, I will leave it the way it is. For the one in the back, set mat param override. And what Windows version is that? I'm on Windows 7. Configured to classic mode. The Windows NT4 look, basically. What was I doing? I need to remember how to set a material parameter override. So let's go over to the JMonkey Engine documentation. Yeah, I actually don't know if I can set classic mode on Windows 10 or 11. One of my systems I'm going to have to upgrade to at least Windows 10. We use Windows 11 at work, and I hate that. I hate that I can't put my start bar on the side. I hate it every day. Every day I hate it. But don't get me started on that. I'll rant for hours. Yeah. And the Windows 11, they won't let me put the start bar on the side. Oh, man. Yeah, so another reason for me to hate Windows 11. But apparently you can still install Windows 10 as an upgrade to Windows 7. But you have to buy a Windows 11 license to activate it. And apparently that ends in like September. So I have another computer, my main email web computer, my personal computer that because some sites won't let me connect to them anymore on Windows 7. So I'll have to upgrade it to at least Windows 10, get another 4 or 5 years out of that. But I have to do that before September if I want to do it, I think. So it's on the, and to do that I don't, so that computer is also my music computer, which has probably $1,000 worth of music tool plugins and things installed. So I want to be very careful. I don't want to lose all of my licenses. Because I have to be able to run things on Windows. And Mr. Ed doesn't run on Linux. Like, I cannot find an editor I like on Linux that I like as much as Mr. Ed. So that's one of or MED now is what he calls it. This is what I want. Add material parameter override. And so because like 90% of Mythruna users are probably going to be Windows users, I have to at least make sure it works on Windows. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And so I also have Linux boxes here, or the Mythruna server runs on Linux. So I can test on Linux, but I do development on Windows because most of my users will be on Windows, unfortunately. Okay, so this is what I need, and I need to Add mat param override. Crash override from that cool movie Hackers from the 1990s. Which was, excuse me, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie Hackers. But for all the things they got wrong, they got a lot of things right. It's just really funny. Their type is actually, I need to grab that. For some, sorry about that, man. Okay, so yeah, I'm not compiling because I didn't finish writing the code down here. Okay, so var type float bias 1.0 f. Okay, so I think that should compile. Yes. Oops. And I want to do the same thing here. And so what this will allow me to do is if I come back here in the shader, I ought to be able to add the bias to this. Which means I need to define it. Oh no, that's a uniform. And it's not if fog is defined, it's just everything. Everything, 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 everything. So now, yeah, so now you can see but this won't work between these guys, for example. So I still have the same issue. What I've done basically is here, if basically this is, you know, odd columns, even columns, and what I've done here is I've added a bias so that I can make it even columns, odd columns, basically. So these far ones are letting the odd column through, and this one's letting the even column through, and so that's why we can see it through. And so this was all kind of a bust. This is a interesting educational approach, but it doesn't actually work. And I'm going to try to show you guys what's going on. So what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot, and then load it into Photopea. Yes, so we want to go not block set but model set. Yeah, the sneezes really stirred up the itches, and the itches stirred up the sneeze. Yeah, I mean, so if I come in here and I can zoom in, you can see that. So in this one, we were, you know, if this is our little cube, no, let me go in closer. So if this is our little 2x2 square, you know, we're letting this pixel be fully transparent and these be fully opaque. And you know, so if I move this down to the doink, to the doink, to the doink, to the doink, you can see, you know, it basically, for that back one, it's making all three of these opaque. And this is on a different frequency, so it lets that through, because this one's on the, you know, lower left one is left blank. And so if we move over, you know, then we can see it. But again, this only works for 2 layers, so it's not really going to work for us. And so we are stuck with a dead-end approach. And so I'll end up having to implement the complicated way. which is unfortunate. So, but we learned together. So, yeah, there's just no way I can make this work. 50% would give me... I mean, I'd have to manually set the biases. There's just no way to make this work. Unfortunately. So I'm going to have to sort, and that's complicated, and that's not going to happen on this live stream. So we will pivot and work on something else, which is I want to make an adobe brick style texture. I think I have an example that I found. Did I... What did I do with it? Sometimes when Firefox crashes or restarts, it moves all my stuff around. And I might have had it loaded. I had it loaded in one of these. No, not here. I'm being dumb. No, I closed it. Oh, I didn't. It's right here. This. So I'm thinking of a, sort of a clay brick with stucco over it. But in addition to wanting to make the brick texture less repetitive, I also want, so essentially we wouldn't see any of the brick, right? It's going to be underneath the stucco. But I want little places where the stucco has broken off, and I want those to be sort of random over a large scale so that it's not repetitive looking. And then the bricks so the brick underneath would be a texture all its own. Then there'd be stuccoed version. We'll make the white covering that has little breaks in places where you can see the brick underneath. In order to do that, I need a 3D noise texture, which is interesting on its own. So we'll play with 3D noise. Sound like fun? Sound like fun to me. And so to do that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a big particle cloud instead of these blocks. Yeah. I've got to make this work, though. Transparency has been an issue with Mythruna for a long time. And the way it takes blocks and turns them into geometry is actually fairly conducive to having a step that sorts them first. Because it takes... So it takes each of the blocks, and every block has has maybe one or many materials, and it turns those into quads and triangles of particular materials. So if a block has 3 different materials, it might generate multiple faces of different materials, but those are all like kept separate, but yet I could still sort them all. Right now in Mythruna, there's a bunch of stuff that says if you're water, you always get rendered first. If you're grass, you get rendered in this order, to kind of mitigate some of these issues. But I actually could, if I sort any of it, I could sort all of them. Anything that's transparent, I could sort it and make transparency perfect all the time, which would be really cool for the grass, because some directions of the grass don't look right even now. Maybe I'll show you, right? So I'm going to have to redo some stuff there anyway. So let's run the game for a second. I'll show you what I mean. What's the little thing there? That's cool. All right. So yeah. So that's what I was saying earlier. So there's no password here anymore. I've included this link in the description of the video. You can just go download the game now. I'm going to reorganize this site, and it's not going to be called Mythruna Engine. It'll still be called the test build, but I'll come up with some other indicator to let people know that. Well, I mean, the site will change, so it'll have like a new big image and so on and so forth. But yeah, so anybody who's watching this video can just download the game. You don't have to put the dragon password or anything like that. And because of that, so web scrapers don't come across the Discord on their own. I've removed the Discord link, but if you download the game and run it, the Discord link's in there. So if you're not already a member of Discord, you can join that way. It's just so far we haven't had, knock on wood, we haven't had any scammers and spammers join the Mythruna Discord, and I'd like to keep it that way for as long as possible. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by about the grass. Come on. Let's load them up. Move them out, load them up, move them out. So the game development is all about the tricks, right? Because grass tends to be below you, you don't really notice this very often. But if you come down here and make a hole, and you come in here, sometimes, yeah, so even now, this is a good direction because the grass is actually drawn back to front in this direction. Trying to find I think what we have to do, so let's find the really, really tall grass. Let's find the tallest grass we can find. And then we'll put it up here. Am I seeing the issue? Let's try here. Alright. Used to be I always knew which direction this happened in, and now I can't remember. Oh yeah, you see it. Around the grass, you can see these little halos where the sky leaks through. And that even happens against other grass. You can see here, like, the grass in the background has disappeared because this near grass has occluded it. Like, the partially transparent stuff we can... So all the opaque stuff is rendered first, and then the transparent stuff is rendered on top of that. You can actually see the grass blocks coming through the ice underneath here. I hope you can in the YouTube compression. But you can see the sky leaking through here. Anyway, so there's this whole dance that happens where I try to mitigate these things as well as I can, and it would indeed be greatly simplified if I could just sort everything. Thatch is another one where this comes up quite often because it's got really long traily bits. Yeah, I'll probably not hit the right direction to do it, but yeah, let me show you some of the worst places that it happens. It's just these little things bug me, right? Because I'm very detail oriented. But let me put so first of all, let's make sure that this stays light outside. So let me get a fire block, because the fire is the one that really interacts poorly with everything. So let's do flame large. Let's put it in front of this. So that's all good. Now if we put the Let's get rid of this and put the flame back here. Yeah. So like you can see the grass through the flame in this direction. Looks a little weird, right? You got these all dark spots. And yeah, oh yeah, it's not the grass, it's actually the little particles for the leaves, for the brush. So that looks weird. Yeah, like you can't, I mean this is okay, it's not too bad, but yeah, the flames in the grass really, they mess with each other. Or the flames and the little particles for the flowers. Anyway, so these are things that it would be nice if I could just sort them correctly. And so if I can find an efficient way to do that. But things we might be playing with coming up, I guess. The other big thing I want to work on is dynamic lighting. I think I have a way of doing, basically you could hold a light and walk around with it. Because, do I have a dungeon around here? I thought I made a dungeon. Yeah, over there. It bugs me. So, we have this dungeon over here. And I would much rather have dungeons that start unlit. Where's the door? There it is. So I had to add a bunch of lighting. So this is one of the cases, like if I was holding a light source, I should be able to see into this corner without having to plop a flame down. So I had to put a bunch of campfires and stuff in here, but I would much rather have like dark dungeons where you have to like light the lamps and you walk around with a torch or a lantern, or you can see in the dark and then it's not a big deal because your character class can see in the dark or whatever, your race. But I just think I like some lighting to make it moody like these, but then this should be like a special room. It should mean something that there's magic lights in here. And we shouldn't have to have I should be able to douse this, right? Yeah. Okay, so if I can just turn that. So like you'd walk into this room and your little flame that you're carrying, which would probably be more on the order of this, right? So then you'd walk in with this little flame and it would cast some light. And, as you moved from place to place, it would cast the appropriate light for that location and so on. I hope I haven't lost my way out. I think it was this way. Yeah. Pretty sure. Down this blind hallway. Anyway, so dynamic lighting is something that I want. And so we might play with that. My current priority is the website to get that done, and then my next priority for my non-stream development will be getting some of the pathfinding stuff we've already done integrated into the engine enough so that we could live stream the next piece. So leaves are another case where sometimes, like I've set the clip threshold really hard for the leaves, so there is no semi-transparency. No, I won't. I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna work on the website this weekend, and hopefully get it done this weekend. And then in my regular Mythruna development time during the week, I'm going to be working on getting the pathfinding sort of squared away to the point where we could start live streaming that again, because we'll be working on the AI, but hopefully get that integrated in the engine. But so for live stream stuff, I might work on, I think I have an idea for how to do that dynamic lighting, the handheld lighting. And it'll be sort of taking our physics playground and putting those characters in the dark, but have them be a light source so that as they walk around, different things get lit up. So that should be fun. But we'll see. I'm also going on vacation at the beginning of August, so that'll crap things up a little bit. But Anyway, that's where that goes. So let's get back to what we're actually working on. I just think streaming, making the website would be kind of boring. Right now I'm working on sort of the logical layout of the site and learning Hugo and how to make it like show download links correctly. And unfortunately I'm going to lose my download counters. But it occurs to me that's actually potentially a negative that I show you guys the download counts, because like, oh, there's only 2 people have downloaded the Linux version. Maybe I'm not going to download it then, you know. But I would like to know, so I may have to parse Apache logs and things to get that. But anyway, so back to what we were working on. I think let's make a so first of all, let's get rid of all this. Go back and run our scripter. I like seeing the counts too, but I worry that it turns some people off. Like, oh, this game looks really cool, and then they go to download it and find out that it's been around for 6 months and only 3 people have downloaded it and go, well, maybe I'll try back later. You know, if it was many thousands of downloads, of course I could always seed them, but alright, so I want to get rid of this. Actually, so this was like the default view, I think. So we're going to get rid of this. I'm going to comment it out in case we think of something, because it's possible that I'll suddenly think of something that'll make it all work better. So let's, if false. Actually, I could just do that up here. I can make a whole new section. Alright. Okay, if true. So now we're going to get rid of those guys. We're going to make something brand new. I think I'm just going to make a cluster of points. I think I can... Let's do... So the noise will repeat. I don't want to do infinite noise because there's problems with that. Anyway, I have to ground it based on something local. Anyway, so it'll repeat every 32 meters. And so we'll set the outer size to 32. We'll set the... Let's inner size to let's do 0.25 initially, and so then the size is going to be the outer size divided by the inner size. And so then we're going to do this in 3D space, so we need points new vector 3f size times size times size, and I'm going to log what that is. Just in case it's like ridiculous and we really shouldn't be creating anything that big. 2 million points. Yeah, let's see what happens. Uh-huh. We'll see what my machine does with 2 million points. So, for no, double x equals 0, x is less than outer size, x plus plus. Okay. That's y. And doink, 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 doink. That's Z. Oh, not plus. If only I had discovered that before I cut and pasted it. Inner size. That's okay. Alright, and so then we can set index 0 points index plus plus equals new vector 3f x y z. Woo! I blew something up. Oh yeah. I wrote it in hacker speak. Alright, so then we want to make a mesh. And now I'm going to have to look at the JMonkey engine documentation. Oh, yeah, no, I don't want that. Should have just went there. It would have been faster just to scroll. There we go. I want to set the mesh mode to points. I think I can say that. Oh, nope. Is it mesh dot mode? Yeah. And no such property. Yeah, so set mode, I think it's just mode. I get lazy when I'm doing the groovy scripting. Alright, and so then what we want to do is borrow code from... no, not here. We want to borrow code from scene shape quad. I always steal quad's code. But actually, I want to, oh, so I have to say mesh anyway. Mesh dot thing, and I think type is I think I can actually do this more directly. Set buffer type yeah, let's just import it. I don't have to worry about it. Okay. Def array equals, I wonder if the buffer utils has a way for me to do this. I think maybe I don't want to do it that way. So somewhere in here, yeah, so it wants an array anyway. So VB equals buffer utils create float buffer Points to array new vector 3f 0. It's gonna let me do that. This is probably buffer utils. That's because I didn't import it. Now what's it complaining about? No signature of method to array. Oh, it's already an array. I'm an idiot. So we create the float buffer. Okay, and then I should be able to say set buffer position VB. Can I not? Aha! Okay, so now we steal a lot of this. Not this part. We've already got that. So test the blah 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 blah. We should not have to. Oh, hello. Current scope already has the variable test map. Oh, it does. You're right. It does. Like. All right. Did it make a thing? Nope. And now we are left to figure out why. Because it's lighting. Let me just set the there it is. You can see it, little teeny little pixels all over the place. Oh, the other thing we've got to yeah. So let's make them red so they're a little more obvious. Well, maybe they're not that obvious. Let's make them dark red. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a whole bunch of little points. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale all that down. I also have to mesh update bounds. Nope. Alright, gotta look it up. Update. Oh, I'm in buffer use filter. Nope. This is update bound. Everybody's got to be a comedian. Okay, so you can see there's a bunch of red dots, I hope, maybe. Let me take a screenshot and we'll I'll set scripter. So if I load this up, then I can zoom way in. You can kind of see. See, there's a bunch of dots. Okay. And so what I'll do is I'll scale this down. Geom set local scale 0.25f. So we'll scale it down teeny tiny, and then we'll be able to see it better. So wow, yeah. So this is a 32 by 32 cube of points, where each point is a basically quarter of a meter, 25 centimeters apart. So if we're flying around through the middle of it, what this is gonna allow me to do is set the color and discard and things based on the 3D noise that we're going to use, and we'll be able to see sort of what the shape of that noise looks like, how frequent, the little clusters are, and things like that. And so now I have to remember which noise I wanted to use. I looked up a whole bunch of people's noise functions. And so this will take, well, first of all, I'm going to need to pass through the coordinate. I'm pretty sure I'm not already, but maybe I am. So it'll be a varying vec3 vpos. Let's make sure I don't already have a vpos in here. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. So that's the world position, but we actually want vpos to be the raw model space position. And model space position is a vec4, so we want where did I put that? Put that up here. We'll set the end position. Should have reloaded. And so then we can take this varying over to here and then do things with it. So there we go. And so first of all, let's just make sure that it is what it is. And so we'll do something similar based on the sort of 3D position in space. We'll do some discarding so that we can see. So we make a if vpos.y what do I want to say here? Divided by 4.0 is less than 0.25 discard. That didn't seem to do anything. It was supposed to get rid of every other. Let's just take a big chunk out without doing anything fancy, just to make sure that it's even doing anything. So if vpos.y is less than 5, discard. Okay, it is working. But I don't know why. Oh, I do know why. We were just chopping off the bottom. If I did, so what I was trying to do is every other layer, in which case I would have to say fract, I think, is less than 0.25. Yeah, so that like basically every 4 meters for a meter we cut out a layer. You can see right here. Hopefully you can see boink, 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 boink. So it is definitely passing that position through, which means we can shove it into a noise function to set our color. So let's cut and paste some noise functions and see if we like them. I do not understand how this one is working. It's array, textureless GLSL simplex noise. Well, you guys want to see what simplex noise is? And then at some point, oh, this is for WebGL too, so at some point I should probably look up what the license on this is. Yeah, so he's got actually cellular noise, classic noise, noise 3D gradient. So let's see what this is. Pound if def 1, or no, pound if 1, pound end if. So this will be how we control which one we're using. Okay, so everything's back to normal, and so we will say, let's make the S noise of VPOS, and we'll see what that does by setting the red value to noise. Whoa! Oh, I missed a semicolon. I think it's funny that it makes you guys like compete with each other for comments now. Like some of you get number 1, some of you get number 2. Okay, so yeah, so you can see the noise in there. Oh, neat. Actually, I don't mind that at all. So we can potentially, I don't know if, can you guys see the black that comes in there? I think if we do it even further and said if noise is less than 0.1 discard, so we can see it even better maybe. Yeah, so you can start to see the noise come through. Actually, that's not bad. It's just a non-gradient noise. It's just random, I think. Though it does clump, which I don't hate. Haha. Oak Storm's back to number 1. Okay, so we've got some noise coming in there, and so then I can use this, you know, to set a threshold. I can sort of divide by certain values. Oh, that's not what I want. I want to do that over here. To change the frequency. Yeah, oh, look at that. Yeah, so like you can really get a idea of the character of this 3D noise. And so if I had, you know, sort of solid textures here, I could use these to decide, you know, for that particular part of the texture to make it disappear so that the brick would show through, kind of thing. In fact, we've got 45 minutes left. Oh, you could do all kinds of stuff with this. Yeah. And so we could even double it up. So let's say we take 2 noise values. I think probably this is the clearest example of... I've tried to explain to you guys, fractal noise before, but perhaps this will be the clearest example yet. So if we take this and we divide it by like 32, so we get big giant noise clumps like this, right? Or let's take it 16, right? And so we get these big giant noise clumps like this because we've scaled it way up. Yeah, I wish I could... There we go. Let's do it like this. And so then what I can do is I can take that as noise 1 and take noise 2, which is back at our thing like that, and then I can multiply them together. So noise 1 noise equals noise 1 times noise 2. And so now like 1 will... So it makes the other like clumpier. I could also add them together and divide by 2 or multiply by 0.5. We get like a different thing. So it makes like some of it more intense and some of it less intense, right? And so you get like all these cool effects. And I'll have to like take apart the math to see what's going on, but I don't hate this noise function. It's doing a lot of work though. Yeah, red blood cells, right. And so what I'm going for here for this particular texture is more like these two multiplied together. So there's places where I want the basically I want all of the clumps to be small, because if we're thinking of a wall, where some of the stucco has come away, I want all of those little clumps to be small. In fact, I might want them even smaller than that. It's hard to say. So see, I could make these little clumps really small, and we don't have much coherence in our points here, but I wanted to show you guys the 3D nature of what I'm talking about here, because you can do a lot of cool stuff with this. But what this allows me to do is make sure that any shape that I put in here, if I'm using this to take away an outer texture and show a texture below, then it doesn't matter if it's a cylinder, it doesn't matter if it's a triangular prism, it doesn't matter what shape it is. The peeling away of the stucco will always wrap around the corners correctly. That's the beauty of the 3D texture. So let us think about so let's do this. We've got the fully 3D texture, but let's do something else. Let's take it and instead of our point cloud, let's set this to false. Set this back to true, and for a second let's just put our no, that's not going to work for us. We want to load the scene. So we got the test material. We're going to load my test scene, which is the ice scene. Oops. Which is going to be this little guy over here. And it must already be scaled down. Which could be problematic. Let's say scene set local scale 1, just in case. Aha. It did load. Okay. Where did it go? There it is, way over there. So it's ginormous. but that's more close to the real size. So let's make sure it goes where it's supposed to. Minus 16, minus 16, something like that. Yeah, okay. So this will just be a 3D shape for us to play with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to force the scene to use my test material. Test mat. Yeah, cool. So it shows how that 3D texture aligns with the So let's actually go back to here and take out the discard so we can just see what the whole texture looks like. Why did that not fix the thing? It should have reloaded. There we go. Oh, because I had to set the material again. So this will show us, if you think of it, whereas red will be where the brick shows through, and black will be, in fact, we could make it look more like that. Let's go, instead of this, let's mix pure red with pure white using the noise. And we'll have to reload because because I have this if statement in here. I could take this out and then it will just work. There we go. No, I've got it inverted. So let's, because actually I want to play with some things anyway, so it would be good to get this worked out. Okay, so we've got, now keep in mind this is a really big structure. Those, like these, are probably too big, right? So let's see if we can make them smaller. Yeah, so this is better, right? But we kind of want them less frequent. So I think we also need to, let's just see what happens if we take out that other noise. So this is sort of the scale we're saying. Lots of things here, not very many things here. I think if we make that a smaller scale, then we have smaller clusters. Let's do it again. Yes, we'll have smaller clusters of places where the yeah. So every now and then it will let some, and you see how this one wrapped around the corner? So we can kind of see how this would be where the brick would show through. And there's no repeating pattern. I mean, there would if I took it, if this was more than 32 by 32, but I like the idea of having 3D. So this can be used for lots of things. So dirt on the cobble, you know, moss and dirt on the cobblestone. Uh-oh, Pepsi's all gone. So let me think how I want to do this. So one of the things I'm going to have to do is detect the gradient. because I want to be able to make I want to be able to distress the normals. Do you plan to release builds for macOS at any point? I would like to. There is the platform independent build, which is supposed to be able to work on macOS, but Apple likes to keep OpenGL apps as a moving target, and so whereas Mythruna used to run on macOS a long time ago, it won't anymore. And I don't have a Mac, so I can't troubleshoot issues. Apparently one of the shaders won't compile. If you have a Mac and have Java and have OpenGL installed, you can download the platform independent version and try to run it. It should have Mac compatible LWJGL libraries in there, but people have tried it and it won't work. So, and I don't have a Mac, so I can't really figure out what the issue is. Actually, the one of the guys who used to work on LiveGDX, I guess he's the guy who originally started LiveGDX, was trying to help me one day with that. Yeah, okay. So we want, basically at the borders, I want to be able to detect this edge so that I can make the normals. So I want it like, I want the, I want like a hard normal, I want a hard edge so that we see it glinting in the light kind of thing. You know what I mean? So first of all, let's make this a hard threshold. Let's, so noise equals step. Noise, is it, can I do that? Or is that backwards? 0.5 common noise. Yeah, so that's what we want. And actually set it, yeah, bigger noise, so bigger clumps of, so this would be like the brick showing through, right? I think that's okay. And if we wanted to roughen up the edges, we could do that too. Like if I wanted to take a noise 3, multiply that times 4, and then add noise 3 times 0.25, something like that. Yeah, ha 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 ha. Right? So I could like roughen up the edges a little bit. This might actually be better. What happens if I do like this? Yeah, so that just roughens them up a little bit. I like this. Playing with 3D noise is so much fun. It makes, like, you just heard it, it makes me giggle. And so that'll be where the, that's got a little weird mirroring effect here. So that'll be where we put the what you call it, the breaking through. And so now I want to detect the border, and I need to basically detect the gradient. So what I mean by that is I've got a sample, like if you imagine this is the side view, and we know we want to draw stucco here and brick here, I need to know that there's this edge here because I want to make sure the normal map, you know, points in. And so I have to sample sort of the pixels around. Yeah, on some kind of basis. A certain amount we can say, even if we want to do it, let's say edge equals clamp 0, 1. Wait, what do I want to do? I want to take whatever the noise was, minus, or, well, I thought it was working, but when I tried to load into the world black screen. Yeah, but it would have dumped a whole bunch of shader errors. So at some point on Discord we can work through that maybe. So edge, we want to clamp that between, or let's see, max. So let's mix this, mix whatever we got with 0. Let's mix it with blue so it's really obvious. Oh no! Ah yes. Ah yes, the how do you say mistake. That's not right. Everything got a little blue. Okay. That's not what I wanted. I didn't want everything to get slightly blue. Let's do clamp. Is it clamp value then range or clamp range then value? See, I've looked this up before. Value min max. Okay, so it's the value. Times 10.0. Okay, that is too much. Oh, just that. What I want is right around. Let's try this again. And then let me see if it's white right at the border, because I might just have it backwards. Nope. Okay, I'm doing something very wrong here. Let's just make it 0.2 and 5. Yeah, so that's not doing anything. So what are we doing? If the noise is I already, yeah. So I needed to do this. So you see, it is doing something now. So we're getting a little edge. I've got it backwards. And now it's inverted. That's okay. I can kind of work with that. So edge is upside down. 0.25 minus noise, which means when noise is less than, this is not really what I want. Essentially, let's say border size 0.2 or 1. Okay, so what I want to say is if the noise minus the border size which is 1 over border size. So if the noise minus the border size, I want to clamp that so if the noise is 0.25, and I subtract see, the thing is, I want this smooth gradient for the edge. Otherwise, I could just do another step, or a form of step. Actually, smooth step might get me what I want. GLSL. I forget the order of the arguments again. So edge, edge, yeah. So it's so 0.25 minus border size. So let's say margin equals 0.25. I'm trying to parameterize this as much as possible so we can so smooth step that to borders to margin, and we want to do that for the noise. And for this, let's call this margin. Let's see what that does. Okay. So we screwed something up. Because if step is greater than margin, okay. Yeah. Because then we want to make sure the edge is not at all inside. There we go. Okay, that's what I meant. That's what I wanted. So this would be kind of like the area where we're kind of in between. But then I also need to know where the hard. So I called this the edge. Let's change this to feather. So we're feathering around the edge. And we'll make border size. I don't need feather size. And I don't need the scale anymore, because the smooth step's taking care of that for me. And let's make this a little smaller, 0.5. Okay, I thought it messed something up, but it didn't. So yeah, we get a little bit of a border and some leak through. So that may be places where we can make the stucco like a brownish color or something that looks like it's partially chipped away. And so now we want to, so this is the tricky part. We want to determine the bumps. I'm trying to think how best to do this. So let us, because we're going to have to sample around. So the sample distance, we'll make that 1 centimeter. And then so what I would like to do is encapsulate this into a function. So let's call this fractal. Yeah. Okay, so we want just regular pass. And then we're going to return that. Okay, so that's all good. So then we ought to be able to replace all of this with noise equals fract 1 vpos. And we can tweak, 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 tweak. Okay, so nothing changed. That's good. But what this will allow us to do is do like fractal vpos. Oh, I've got to do. Got to do 6 different directions. Yeah, so vector equals vpos minus vec3 sample dist 0.0, 0.0. This should, nope. Oh no. Fractal 1. But what you're telling me is you could at least load the splash screen and you could get into the main menu from Mac. That's at least somewhat encouraging. That means it extracted the binaries okay. Lots of good things happened. It's just one of the shaders is failing, and so if we look at the error logs, if you could upload them somewhere and post the error dump, that would be useful. Okay, so we ought to be able to do Easter, which is going to be plus. So let's do all of the negatives first. So we got north and down. So this is going to be that, and this is going to be that. So we're going to subtract in the x, subtract in the z, and subtract in the up, down, the y. And then we have east, south, and up, and these are going to add. And if I add all of those together, No, see, this is going to be like triplanar mapping. Alright, I want to show what this is going to look like, so I'm going to ignore the wanting normals on the edge part, and let's get a couple cool textures that we can use, okay? So let's make a new project. We'll call this clay brick, and it's going to be, yeah, let's go with 256 by 256. Sure, the background white's fine, because we're going to get rid of the background anyway. Alright. Alright, and now let me look at my reference image. So basically, I want this to be mostly garbage. So let me take the brush. Let's just say, yeah, cool. So we're pretty zoomed in, which is why it looks rough, right? And we want this to be, let's say, medium gray, and we want to paint the background black. Oops, cancel. And we will go back over to, we need to make a new layer. Okay, go back to our paintbrush, and I'm trying to think how big of the bricks I want. Let me move this over a little bit. I want to see more of these. Okay, so they want to be square-ish. Right? I almost wonder if I would be better off painting the lines in instead of painting the bricks. But let's see how far we get. Also thinking I need to pay attention to how much space I'm giving these. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Anyway, I'll probably end up tweaking this 100 different ways anyway. So we get some rough bricks in. And yeah, so this is the problem area that we'll fix in a second. I hadn't intended to go all the way to the edges. So we'll leave that edge alone. So we'll make another brick here. And another one here. I may just temporarily replicate these in a second. Because you guys don't want to watch me draw bricks, I'm assuming. Alright. Yeah, so let me just, for now, just duplicate these and we can see what it would look like. It's like, well, first of all, let's make this repeating. And so to do that, I want to duplicate it and then move this one to be in the center and move this one to be yeah, let's finish it like this. Actually, oops, wrong way. Oh boy, I hate it when it does that. Okay, so let's go back to here. Move this guy over here. Oh, son of a bitch. See, we want right about here. And then we will paint the rest of this in. And we'll paint the rest of this in. Come on. Alright, so now if I merge these two together, I would have a contiguous thing. Anyway, we're just gonna duplicate them and just repeat them for now. You'll trust that I can come back and do this. I just want to get something done. Yeah, so let's do like, yeah, you can see that the bricks aren't quite set up right. So now we should be able to take these, duplicate them all, and just come straight down. And if I'm lucky, I did it just about right. Okay, so it's not the greatest texture, right? But I kind of wanted to show you what I'm talking about. So now we can take all of this, and it's all screwed up. It's not. Why is this not repeating? That's better, but not perfect. Okay, so we're gonna see seams. But that's what it is. It is what it is, as they say. Okay, so I'm gonna Control A, Control Shift C, Control V. So now we got one that's got everything in it. Oh, I needed to have this turned off. There we go. This is what I want. Control C, Control V. Turn off all these guys. Because what I want to do is give this a gradient, like a, what's the way I want to do this? Probably an inner shadow. And then we'll set the, oh yeah, so can I set it right in the middle? No, I cannot. So this is not what I want. I want inner glow. Inner glow. Yeah, that's what I want. And instead of screen, I want it to darken. And instead of this, I want black. There we go. There we go. And cool. I hope this is entertaining. I don't know. I'm going to give him some color in a second, but the other thing we want is a pattern overlay. Oh, that's awful. Maybe like this. Yeah, and then we want this to also be dark. No, we want something gray, in fact. I'm just trying to think of something temporary. Okay, that's good. Let's make it normal and set the opacity way down. Okay, so that'll give us some roughness. Again, this isn't right, but we're getting there. And okay, so then this is for the Adobe brick stuff. You'll see. Okay, so we want this. We're going to make a normal map. And so we'll make it twice. Filter, 3D, normal map. I'm okay with this for now. Okay. So that's our normal map. Use this one to make sure that I'm still... Uh-oh. Yeah. So let's duplicate this layer. And this one we'll use for color. Let's do color overlay with like a... like that color. Can I sample? I don't think it's going to let me sample outside. And then we want it to be screen, I think, or multiply. Yeah, multiply, and then I'll just make it brighter. Okay. Okay. And then we'll do something similar for... Oops, cancel. Duplicate this. We'll put this up here with the... so we'll call this one color, background color. And for this one, we will similarly do a gradient overlay, no, not gradient, pattern overlay of this. That's good, yeah, I like it. But we want it, oh, it's already 22%, cool, cool, cool. And we want it to be darken, and then we can, that's not going to do anything. Okay, let's try multiply. I'm getting way too wrapped around the axle for this. So let's go back to normal, target super dark. I just wanted a little bit of color in there, and so we'll also do a color overlay where we make it kind of a... It's not going to show up because... Screen. Okay. That's probably, okay, in the live stream, that's as close as I'm going to get for now, okay? Okay, so we'll call this Claybrick, save as PSD for now, export as PNG, and this is, of course, the crappy version, right? This is the 15-minute version, literally. So copy .block set, source main resources, textures, Claybrick. Oh, I already had clay. Model set, scripter, not screenshots, scripter, textures. Oh no, materials, textures. Okay. So what we, oh, and we want to make a normal map too. So let's normal map. export as PNG. Normals. Sure. And we'll copy dash normals. Okay. So first of all, we will take this out temporarily. If false. I wonder if it's going to complain. Okay, so we went back to having regular textures. Good, good. And so then, over here, we should be able to change this to clay brick. Yay! Okay, so we got our clay brick. Again, it's not tiled correctly. So that's a problem, but anyway, but I'm trying to give you guys kind of idea what I'm going for, and obviously the color's kind of messed up because I wanted it to be more like this color. But anyway, I got a lot of work to do to make this the way I want it, but we can see that there. Let me go ahead and set the normal map to normals. Normal map should already have tangents. Yeah, okay, so see now we've got bricky looking bumps depending on where the light is facing. Okay, so now, you know, all the trouble to make that texture, we're going to hide most of it. So instead of, let's turn this back to true. So that gives us back this. And then instead of mixing in red, we will mix in the original color. So let's just, I just want to comment this out. Okay, so we've got the brick coming through, and so then I'll need to make a stucco texture. But let's get closer. So instead of just white, let's make it kind of a brownish gray. Oh, that's no. Or like 7. What do I want? No. That's just a darker gray. So let's make this the right shade of gray. And then we'll add back a little bit of redness to it. Yeah, 3. Back to 1. Okay, so we've got kind of a it's not a real texture, right? And then we mix in our feathering. We will use a darker version of that. So 0.549, 0.49. I don't like 4. Anyway, you kind of get the idea, right? So you'd have like these sections of brick. So imagine that this white area was an actual stucco texture, and so then you'd have the brick peeking through. And obviously I would not want the edge to be so sharp. So probably I would change this to be smooth step. margin minus 1 centimeter margin noise. Yeah, so we get a little bit of blending. Little bit of blending, so it's not like such a harsh edge. So this is the kind of effect I'm going for, right? I just want some. In fact, we could probably make a quick stucco texture, but if you guys want, I can make a quick stucco texture too. Or we could just we could pretend sand is stucco. Let's do that. So let's set an overlay material. Let's change these. Let's just put them at the end. Oops. So we want to add a second texture, right? So it's views map 2. We'll just call them 2 for now. And then we'll say two. Okay. And over here, let's say sand.png, and the sand normals, I think, dir dot block set source main resources textures sand star. What bumps do we use for the sand? I think I use the grass bumps. Star norm star PNG. Now I'm curious. Maybe I labeled it something else. Sand uses grassnorm.jpg. Oh, that's bad. I forgot that I have some. So let's see if it would change it. Ooh, okay, didn't like it. Oops. Where's my? It's sand. It's probably sand.jpg, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so this is what it would look like if sand was the brick. So we'll set this to diffuse map and normal map 2. Then over here in the fragment shader, we will say, where is it getting the things? All that's good. We want diffuse color. And so, yeah, let me just steal all of this. We'll say diffuse color 2. Actually, let's do this. Let me cheat. Let's make a new thing over here. Change all of the diffuse color to diffuse color 2. Doink, 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 doink. And all of these to diffuse map 2. Replace. And that's fine. We don't really do carving here, so we're just going to be messed up a little bit. Okay, so that should still compile. It does not. Ah, because I have not imported the thing. Okay. And diffuse map, sure. Alright. Normal map. Ooh, I spelled it wrong. And I fat fingered it. Okay, come on, guys. We're getting there. We're getting there. So let's make this. Oops. If normal map 2. Okay, and then okay, so that's for parallax. This is for normal. And so if def normal map 2 and normal 2, I should have done the yeah, because I need to do normal height 2 as well. Normal map 2, blah 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 blah. Otherwise, normal 2 equals v normal. Normal 2 equals normalized normal 2. Alright, now that we can figure out where normal is used. Doink, 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 somewhere down here in the lighting. Doink. Yes, down here. I set a diffuse color too, right? Yep. So somewhere down here, I'm doing a thing. There it is. Okay, so we want to cut this code out. Do this. And everywhere we see diffuse color, we want to change it to diffuse color 2. Replace, 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 replace. Everywhere we see normal dot, we want to place it with normal 2 dot. Oh, we don't. Ooh. Oh, okay. So everywhere we see, everywhere we see normal, I'm going to replace it with normal 2. But not that one, not that one. That one, that one. Was that really it? Okay. So I need to better so pound if def diffuse map 2, is that what it's called? I think so. Pound end if, and we don't want to set geofrag color here. We want to set poop. So we want to change everywhere. Let me see where all this is used. Yeah, so we want to say, oops. vec4 overlay color. Vec4 0 0. And then everywhere we've got GL frag color, we want to change it to overlay color. Doink, 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 doink. Okay. And we'll put this back over here. Doink, 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 doink. Okay, let's see if we still run or if I've screwed some things up. I'm kind of excited to see what this looks like. Okay, so not going to show the sand yet. I'm just seeing, oh boy. Lasai. So yeah. Actually, I can reuse all of these. I don't need to even recalculate light dir. I don't need light spotlight. Shininess, compute lighting, all that stays the same. And this shouldn't work right now because it doesn't. Okay, so I can remove that. I should leave it in. So I can get rid of these because sunlight and local light will be the same. Specular sum will be the same. Ambient color, that's right. So this will be ambient color 2. Ambient color 2. I got rid of the extra specular. So ambient color 2. Sunlight, sunlight, model light, that's all the same. Okay, so let's try and see if that fixes it. I think I missed something. Local light, specular sum 2. Still going to fail. But on line 61, okay, come on, just stop. Okay, 961, sun contrib. I can't just jump to the line because this is sun contrib 2. Oh no, it's not. I don't need this. These are all the same. Let's try again. I can't just jump to the line because JME's line numbers are off from the source because of all the included files. Hey, okay, so now I should be able to mix the code, mix the stuff down here. So instead of mixing in the arbitrary dirt color, I ought to be able to say overlay color RGB. Oh! It's got the right color, the wrong normal map, so I've missed... I've messed up the normal map calculation some way for this overlay color. Where is it using the normal? Oh, it's because okay. This stuff. I really do need these. This right here, I really do need this. And there needs to be a specular color too as well, but that's okay. I'm going to take out the specular color settings. So this goes before the specular sum, which I took out. It goes right at the beginning. Yeah, so right up here, I think. So here we have to say 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. All that's the same. We can set a different shininess if we want. We won't, but we could. We'll leave these in for now. Sunlight 2. Sunlight 2. So then down here, all these will need, this isn't being used. Okay, so this is where this should have gone. And so, sunlight 2, model light won't change. If glass specular, which we're not using, but I'll still do it anyway. So, local light, oh, it is. Okay, so anything local light also needs to be, yep, of course it would have normal maps. What is local contrib? Okay, it's not set in here. Okay, let's see if I screwed something up. No! Yay! Okay, so pretend that's a stucco texture. Yeah, so I kind of even like the fact that it's smoothed out around the edges. Okay, so see how it wraps around the corners? That's why we did 3D noise. Because you could see the whole corner pop through. Isn't that cool? All that work. So yeah, so we may not have gotten ice to look good, but I'm on the right track for this stucco texture. I need to tweak the parameters. And actually, sand doesn't make a bad base for stucco, to be honest. I don't know why it's so dark. Because I think if we were just doing straight sand, it would be brighter. But maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, so I have to play with that. And obviously, the stucco should be a much brighter texture, to be honest. So I'll play with that. But you got the gist of it, right? We made 3D noise. We used 3D noise to cut out things in 3D space so that our then we can actually make the lighting more dramatic so we can see like we can set the sun down near the horizon so we can see more dramatically the, like if I go over here, it's like you should be able to see the sun move as or the lighting move as because it's all like normal mapped, right? So as we move the sun around, we've got actual brick shapes. All right. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the stream, or hope you enjoyed the stream. And it was certainly fun for me. All 2 or 3 of you who are left, thanks for joining. Please like, comment, subscribe. The likes really do matter. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you've watched this long, chances are you liked the content. So that's the thing. So thanks for joining. And if you're working on something productive, I hope you have a great week. Hopefully I can have a new website out this weekend. We'll see. There'll be announcements on Twitter and Discord and the usual places. Blue sky. Thanks for joining.